Right, hello and welcome to the sales breakdown report. Before we get started, let me just explain to you what a sales breakdown report is. It's really just a spreadsheet where you can capture not only your sales, you can do your sales obviously, but if you'd like to, you can also actually put in all of your sales inquiries. If you're doing hundreds of them, it's maybe not worth it, but I'll show you why it's worthwhile to put them in. And then you can make the call whether you think it's worthwhile or not. Alright, let's show you the first sheet, which is the introduction and setup. First of all, your business name will be in here. For the purchase versions, they'll be locked. For the free version, a free trial version, you can put your own business name in. That just goes around to the spreadsheet. Then you need to put in the dates. Now, these will be blank. Obviously, I've selected all these dates because I've done some of the work on this already, but you can just select the month and the year of your starting year. Now, the reason why I put that in is because this spreadsheet will last you for a year. Then what you do is keep a blank version, and then the next financial year or calendar year, however you want to work it, start a new one. If you see a green tick there, it means that it's accepted those dates. Now what you can do is you can, the months, based on the year that you enter here, the months for that financial year or calendar year will pop up here. And you can put in your target. So you can put in your target sales that you want to do each of those months. Remember, all of these values in this whole spreadsheet are all excluding VAT. So if you do charge VAT, don't add that on. But here you can put your targets in for each of the different months, and that'll just measure you against your target later on. You can also assign a list of job types. You can put any, you've got up to 10 categories. You can basically assign any job types you want. So you may have 4 or 5 different kinds of jobs that you do, or you can break them down by size, or you can break them down by maybe you do different types of jobs, maybe meet different criteria, that kind of thing. And you can list up to 10, just so that it'll break it down later on for you as far as which of these jobs have been more successful, that kind of thing. So you can select job types. You've also got your source list. Now what your source list is, you've got 2 columns, the actual name and then a code, which is just a shortened version of that. What is the source list? Well, any means any marketing venture that you would do that could bring in work. So you could have there, you could have Facebook groups like ours, you can have networking, you could have referral, you could have existing client referral, you can have all sorts of things. How would you get work in via the website, via Google, that kind of thing? You can put in whatever you want here, up to 10 of them, and then each of the jobs you can assign to one or more of those. You can say, well, it came in from 50% from Facebook, and say 50% from referral, or maybe you meet someone networking, and that was the big beginning. But then they went to your website and found it and came through there. So you can maybe say 60%, 40%, however you want to do it. You can break that down. You'll see later on what effect that will have. And then also there's a sales velocity page, which essentially works out a sales velocity. I'll get into what that is in a minute or two. But if you want to use the sales velocity, then you need to enter all sales and inquiries, not just the sales. And you will have the selection. You'll be able to select whether they're an inquiry, whether they're a sale, or whether they've been declined. And you can you would need to obviously enter everything, whether it's just an inquiry, whether it's been declined, or whether it's been a sale. Whereas if you're not using the sales velocity tab, then you don't have to enter the inquiries or declined. You only have to enter ones that are sales. I'll show you how that works. It sounds complicated, but once you've done the setup page, and I would suggest doing this first, because if you make changes here, it will affect your spreadsheet, and you may not realize where it's affected your spreadsheet, and it might cause issues. So if we go to the sales capture page, this is where you capture your sales. Now, I've already done some of them here, but let's put in here one for the 9th of June just to show you how it works. You can see it's got 2 crosses there immediately. What this is saying is I haven't put in enough information, even to the basic calculations, and it doesn't qualify for the sales velocity. Now, these yellow columns, you don't have to fill in if you're not using the sales velocity. You can leave them blank. The red ones, I'd suggest filling in as many of them as possible. And this value here, you do need to fill that in if you want to use the sales velocity. But you need to fill that one in anyway, really. So, how do you fill this in? Well, remember what I said. If you're using the sales velocity one, then don't worry about the yellow ones, and then you don't have to worry about this column either. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you are using it. You want both of these to be a green tick. Now, the reason why these ones aren't a green tick is because they're not being used on the sales velocity, and the reason being is because they're not sales. They're inquiries or declined. So that's why those are ignored. But if you say here, for argument's sake, you do another one, you put in the invoice number, and you say that it was that much money. Now that's gone on a green tick, which means that you filled in the bare minimum, essentially just the value of the project and the date, which is the bare minimum. Now you can assign it to one of the jobs. So the more information you fill in across here, the more statistics it's going to give you, the more it's going to be included into reports. Because if you don't have enough information to go into a report, it's just going to exclude it. So what type of job was it? Let's just say that was a small job. Which client was it? Let's say it was client 4. You can put in your client names here. Make sure you spell them correctly as you have before, because what this is doing is it's really just telling up how much each client spends with you, so it can show you which are your top clients. You don't need to fill it in if you don't want to know. If you do want to know, fill it in. Just make sure you spell the client, because if you spell the same client in 2 different ways, it's not going to recognize it as the same client. Right, so client 4, sale. What is it? At the moment, it's an inquiry, so you can put in inquiry. There's no time used because you haven't worked on it. You could put in the cost price if you know the cost price, but it doesn't matter because it's an inquiry. It's not going to be used anyway. And you can leave. You can put in the inquiry start date to start off with. So let's just say that it started on the 9th of June. These dates are the sale date, but not really the sale date, because actually that's just the date when the entry comes in to start off with. So what do we put in here? Now we haven't got a project end date in. Put a sales. If you put a sales date in, you can put the inquiry date in first, and when it becomes a sale, you can just change that, or you can actually leave it. The only reason why you need this date is just because later on it's going to tell you your monthly breakdown. So depending on this date, that will show which month it's in. So if you get an inquiry in May, but you only complete the job in June, do you want it to go into June or do you want it to go into the May? Depending on which one you want, fill in the correct date there. That's totally up to you. It doesn't really matter what that date is, but you would just need to put a date in there just to make sure that it's valid, but also whichever date you put in there, that's the month that it will go towards. Alright, so let's go back to here. Now what's happened is you've got these different options which are your sources. So now all you do is you assign a percentage to the source. So let's just say this was 80% referral. You got 80% referral. It goes, yeah, that's great, but you need to get it to 100%. So as you can see, that's gone back to across because it's not right. Something's missing. You get 80% referral, 20% networking, whatever breakdown of that you want to do. And there you go. Because you've assigned it, it says it's okay. It's still not valid for the sales velocity. Why? Because it's not a sale yet. So let's just say this one comes in. You get it now. It is a sale. You spend 4 hours on it. The cost price turns out to be £200, and you've completed the project by the 15th of June. You put in all that now. It says green. You've got all the information for the sales velocity. Now, what are these time used and cost price? Let's just run through that quickly. Time used is the time spent on a project. Do you have to fill this in? No, you don't. If you're purchasing a product for a cost price and you're selling it for a selling price, you can ignore this if you don't want to put it in. But what might happen is you may actually not be selling a product. You might be spending time creating something, like I do creating spreadsheets. You don't necessarily have a cost price. Then you can put the time used in, because it'll work out how much you've earned for the time. If you're in the situation where you're buying materials and you're taking time putting them together in order to sell them, then put in the time used and the cost price, and when it's working out your hourly income, it'll work out your sales less your cost price and then divide it by time. So you can put in as many of those as you want, or whichever combination of them as you want. The more you put in, the more results you're going to get out. And that is essentially what you do. One line per sale or per inquiry or per declined or whatever it might be. And once you fill those in, as you fill those in fact, all of these other reports will update. So what have we got here? The first one we've got is the monthly report. All you do is you come up here and you select which month you want. There's the drop-down list, and it'll show you your sales for the month, your cost for the month, your time worked, profit earned, how it compared to the budget that you set, and it'll show you all of your different source lists and what percentage of the income goes towards each of those, so you can see which ones have been more successful. You can also have a look at your job types, and you can see which ones have been more successful, the value and the percentage of sales and the profit value. So that's quite a handy thing to have on a month-to-month basis, so you can see maybe from month to month which ones are improving, see if there's any trend. Your annual report, very much the same. As you can see down here, we've got those same figures, but this time for the year. Your monthly breakdown, it shows you month by month as far as time, work, and sales and cost. So you can see on a month-to-month basis how you're faring. This is why it's obviously important to put the sale down in the correct month, because then you can see exactly what's happening from a month-to-month basis. So these months are dependent on this sale date. So you can put that date, you'll decide when you're going to put that, just be consistent throughout. So what else? Monthly breakdown of time and amount per hour. So you can see each month how much time you worked, what was your profit per hour. You can also go and have a look at your source and breakdown reports, so you can see all of your different sources and where the income's coming from all your different sources. You can also go down here and you can have a job types breakdown, so you can see the different job types that you're using and your percentage of sales and profit and average profit per hour and all the rest of it, so you can see which of the different types of jobs you're doing are more beneficial to you. You can continue to scroll down here and actually see that in a graph form. It's basically what you got up top there, but you can see it in the graph. Makes it easier to view. Scroll down, you've got your top 10 clients based on the sales, so you can see which of your clients and how they rank from number 1 to 10 based on the sales that they've given you, and you can see the cost and the quantity and the profit per hour. So your number 1 who's giving you the most work and the most turnover might not necessarily be your most profitable. So you can have a look and see what's going on there with your top 10 clients. Then you've got a sales and your cost. You can see your sales are in the light green, your costs are in the red. This graph looks a bit weird because it's only small, but when you've got more, you'll be able to see a constant. Call them the mountains, the red and the green mountain. You'll see them one in front of the other, and you'll see your profit per hour up and down as you've earned it. And scroll down yet further and see your breakdown of your jobs, your job type, all the different job types, and your the sources, and see which of the jobs are coming from which source and which one's bringing you more income. So actually, you'll be able to see getting larger jobs from such and such, or smaller jobs from such and such. That's how that would work. You can also scroll down. This is based on your sales. This is the same chart, but it's based on your profit. So you can see from a profit point of view where your sales are coming from. So that's a lot of information, all just based on your sales, and you can go through that and have a look and see what's going on there. And that's just based on the data that you've entered. And then this last tab is the sales velocity tab. So what's going on this tab? Well, this is a formula which people have come up with in order to calculate roughly how much money you should be making per day. So how does it work? It's not foolproof, but let me just show you how it works. It's a number of opportunities that you've got. So here we count up 17. What we mean by opportunities is every single line in every single entry. So all your sales plus inquiries plus the rejected ones, all totaled up. How many are there? Your average sales, so it takes all of those that have become sales, divides them up and goes, what's your average sale amount coming through? You also then take your win rate. So what percentage of those opportunities actually became sales, and then your cycle days. So how many days on average does it take for you to get through a project? So what that does is it says opportunities times average sale times win rate divided by cycle days, and that's really what the formula does. Now what you can do is you can adjust this if you work weekends or not. You can say yes or no, because that will obviously affect the days between the two dates that you've set. And you've got your current calculated sales velocity, which is 404.34. Now your win rates obviously taken are those that have been marked as sales. If any of these are clear or blank here, they'll be taken as a sale, because if you're only using them as sales, you're not doing the sales velocity, you can leave them blank. So if they're blank, they'll be taken as a sale. If they say sale, they'll be taken as sale. So if you do have any that are just inquiries or decline, make sure they're marked as such to exclude them from the sales velocity. So those three there, as you can see, have been excluded from the sales velocity tab. Your cycle days is the date between there and there. How many days is that taken? So Why is this useful? If you can't really take this figure as gospel truth, why is this useful? Well, the reason why it's useful is because what I've done on the right hand side is I've put down a target sales velocity. So if you start off by putting in the same figures that you had before, what you'll see is you'll start off with the same figure, 404.34. So you've got the same amount. So now all this to do is now you can actually have a play around and say, well, what if you had more opportunities? Because remember, the more opportunities you have, the more sales you'll have, and so on and so forth. So what if you actually generated more sales leads? What would that do? So you can see how that would affect your figure. And you say, all right, fine, but what if I actually just upped all the projects? What if I charged a little bit extra and actually charged a little bit extra per project? What would that do? You can see the effect that it'll have. And each time you can obviously change it back again. So you can see what each one will do. You say, what if you make your processes more streamlined, you get more organized, and actually what's taking 20 days, you now take 15 days. You can see the different of impact that the impact that it's going to have on that bottom line. So this is quite a handy tool just to be able to play around. You can obviously adjust all four. I've changed one at a time just to see what it does. But you can go, what if I get more opportunities and I up the price and I get a higher win rate and I streamline my processes so it takes quicker to do each project. You'll be able to see what kind of effect it's going to have on your bottom line with your sales velocity. So that's a handy report to have. This obviously, these yellow figures here will update as you enter more things. You'll have to update these manually. You've got your annual report with a lot of information based on your sales. You've got your monthly report, which you can click on and select the month you want, and as soon as you select the new month, it will change accordingly, and you can see exactly what's been going on a month-to-month basis. You've got all your sales captures, so you can even come and have a look here and see which ones have been declined and what your dates are. This is all your raw data, and obviously once you've done the setup. So I hope that helps you to use this product, and I hope that shed some light on what it's for and how it's used. And we wish you all the best with your sales analysis. Thank you and goodbye.